What do you do if this is your first holiday away from your extended family, but this also happens to be your newborn's first holiday too? Well, today one mom wrote, "My husband and I moved across the country after our baby was born, so this will be our first holiday season away from our families. I want to make it special, but I have a tendency to overextend myself. I really want to make all the traditional meals with all the sides, just like when we were home. But am I being over ambitious? I don't want to stress myself out." Well, also as a fellow over ambitious mom, there have been several seasons of my life where I had this grandiose idea of what I was going to accomplish or attempt to do. And I have figured out over the years to kind of set more realistic expectations. If we haven't hung out before, my name is Brianna. I'm a fellow mom and money coach, and here we take questions from moms for moms all about money and real life. But let's go ahead and dive into today's topic. When it comes to the holidays, it can be really exciting to try to attempt to do all of the traditions that we grew up experiencing and doing, especially to recreate it for our own family. And that's just one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about it today, is because shortly after my husband and I got married, we actually moved across the country to another state that it wasn't really realistic for us to go and visit our extended families during the holidays. Now, we did not have a newborn at this point, so your situation is a little bit different from mine. But I had this grandiose idea that since it was just going to be the two of us, I was going to prepare a duck. Now, I will say, since it is just you two, I think that this is a great time to really evaluate okay, what are the traditions that you want to keep and kind of have in your home for your new family now versus the traditions that you and your husband may have grown up with, and the things that your parents did for you guys as part of their holiday celebration. And what can you do that may be more realistic but also minimalistic, so that way you're not overextending yourself. So for example, with this duck thing, my mom always made a turkey, but we'd also have over 30 people at our Thanksgivings, so it was realistic for her to make a turkey. But it's not realistic for me to make a turkey when there's just two adults eating. So, as I said, I had this grandiose idea that I was going to make a duck one Thanksgiving. Maybe it would have been for Christmas. It doesn't really matter. But I had never prepared a duck before, and I was looking at this recipe on the cooking channel. I was like, this is going to be great. I'm going to follow directions. It's going to turn out awesome. This is going to be our new thing, our new tradition. I had no idea what I was doing, and needless to say, it did not turn out, despite my very attempted effort to make it exactly how it had appeared on the cooking show. And that's when I realized that we probably won't be having duck again. Now, what I have decided for my own family, because actually we will be spending Thanksgiving just us, just my individual family, for the first time in several years. So one thing that I have decided to do, and I'm sharing this with you to see if maybe this is more realistic for you as well, is, since again, it doesn't make sense for me to make a turkey, even though we probably could have made a small one. What we'll just do is I'm just going to probably pick up a rotisserie chicken maybe a few days ahead, make some very minimalistic sides, or I might even get some things quick sides that are pre-made, because the day of, I don't want to necessarily, this is just me, I don't want to be slaving away in the kitchen for several hours at a time, because of the fact that my family is much smaller than my extended family and relatives. So I would encourage you to identify what is the main thing that you want from your holiday. Now I am focusing more so on the food, but this could also apply to other things, around the holiday. That could be if for example, for Christmas, if your parents would put up Christmas lights on the exterior of their home, does that make sense for you with all of the other things and all of the other traditions that you maybe want to bring into your family? Especially when we're balancing that with a newborn, it can be sometimes we have these grandiose ideas and then we forget how much care our newborn or like our kids take up, and it's not maybe realistic to do all of the things that our parents would do and all the memories that we have, because maybe what we're remembering is what they would do when we were in high school, yet here we are with a newborn or toddler or kids that need more care than the activities that your parents would probably do because you were in a completely different stage as a child when they would facilitate those activities. So I would recommend and caution you to identify maybe 2 or 3 things between you and your spouse to say like, okay, these things are really important for us this year, and this is what we're going to focus on. So can we go back to the food a quick second? So for me and my family, as I mentioned, we're just going to do a rotisserie chicken. Maybe for you that makes sense. Like you're not going to do a rotisserie chicken. Maybe you do want turkey. Maybe you buy a really tiny turkey, or maybe you just buy a turkey breast and you do like the sides. Or this could also be a really great time to change up your traditions and do something like super simple. Like if the food is not a big thing, and I do know that you mentioned like a meal with all the traditional sides, but maybe this would be a great time to say like, hey, maybe instead of turkey, we are going to do a duck. Maybe we'll do, steak on Thanksgiving, and that's what we'll do every year. So I think I actually have a friend that actually does this, where she used to, with her family, have a very specific meal because that's what her family traditionally did. And then she just got to the point, she's like, I don't like turkey. I don't like making it. I don't like eating it. So they don't do turkey on Thanksgiving. They don't do turkey for Christmas. So they do something else like steak that they prefer better and more. And she makes a very specific meal for that specific holiday. And she identified, okay, I like green bean casserole. That was a thing that her family would have every holiday with Thanksgiving, with Christmas. And she's like, I don't really like that recipe. So she found a different recipe that she actually preferred, and she makes her own new green bean casserole for her holiday. And it's becoming her family's tradition versus like this traditional expectation that has been generationally passed down because that's what you just do on that specific holiday. So when it comes to the meals, I think that evaluating what does that look like for you, and that doesn't have to be, whatever you do this year doesn't have to be the same as what you do next year. Now, I do, of course, just want to encourage you to also be open to different like Friendsgivings for Thanksgiving or Christmas, especially since you have said that you are further away from your family and it doesn't seem like it may be realistic for you to travel to your extended family for this holiday and maybe future holidays. And I'm going to tell you a quick story, and I know it's going to kind of seem like, what does this have anything to do with it? But I promise it relates. Okay. So since I mentioned at the beginning of our conversation that my husband and I had moved away from our families, I was participating, like the week of Thanksgiving, I was participating in a TV series film set where they needed extras. And so it was a 2-day shoot. So you had to commit to being there both days. And during the course of a TV shoot, there's a lot of downtime where you're expected to be on set, but you can't have anything with you. Like you can't bring your phone, you can't, all these things, all the rules, because they don't want people, doing on their phone when they're supposed to be performing in the background. Okay, so you probably know, I don't need to explain this to you. So during the course of this shoot, I ended up meeting this couple, and come to find out that they also were not local and they didn't have extended family in the area either. And they were older. They had migrated there with, some of their older children, but they didn't have like a a super large extended family gathering. And they came to find out through the course of several days, us being on the shoot together, that I was like, oh yeah, my husband and I moved here. We don't have any plans for Thanksgiving. And they actually invited and extended and opened up their home to us for us to go there on Thanksgiving Day and participate in their Thanksgiving. And it was so fun. And I just remember like feeling so incredibly like grateful for their hospitality. And it made me like, it kind of like opened up my eyes to the fact that like traditionally Thanksgiving and certain holidays are like you think about being around your own extended family, but I think these are also really great times for us to open our homes and think about like the fact that we can still be with other people around us even if they're not with our specific family, and that kind of in a way still creates this beautiful sense of what the holiday is all about. So like going through that experience, I was like, wow, this was really cool. And I hope to someday, like, I want to be that home in the future where I don't know, my kids, bring someone from school or bring someone from, I don't know, past, like some friends or whatever, and say like, hey, they didn't have a holiday tradition or family to go to, so they brought them here to our home for Thanksgiving or another Christmas to actually participate because they're not going to be able to do that with their own family for some reason. So just because you are like completely separated from your extended family, just kind of think about if maybe that resonates with you, and if there's other people in your area. Maybe I know that there's certain parts of the country that do attract younger couples, younger families that are just starting out, but also several other couples may also be there that don't have other extended family to go to or travel to. Maybe see if that resonates with you to say like, oh yeah, let's have, I'm going to invite a couple other couples or a couple other, young families over together, and then we're going to have our holiday meal together. And that can also really, in a way, relieve a lot of the pressure and stress on you to make all of these meals and all of these sides, because you'll have help from other people. Like if you and several other families are getting together and you're creating this holiday meal, like maybe you're only responsible to bring two things and you didn't have to do quite as much labor to make up that meal, but you still get to participate in some of those traditional sides. So I don't know, think about that. Hopefully that is helpful. But if you can relate to anything that I'm saying, or if you have a similar story, I would love to hear your experience or suggestions in the comments. So I hope that we can continue the conversation there. But until we hang out again, create a home your heart loves.